Is there really a case for a 50-cent gas tax? Now, Dan, you discuss this concept in your book, Shale Boom, Shale Bust. You got to explain this to me because Americans finally have more money in their pockets. The dollar's higher, gasoline prices are down. Why should they get taxed? Why can't they get a break?
It's absolutely, I know it's politically toxic, but I really truly believe that here's a moment in time when prices are depressed. They're not going to stay depressed forever. And the truth is that there hasn't been a big economy boost from a lower gasoline price, just like there hasn't been a big economy drag when prices for gasoline were high. I mean, the same thing can be said for both. We have a country that we're standing on right now that will never make it to a renewable future without enormous amounts of investment, and that means government investment. We also have an infrastructure that's absolutely falling apart. Estimates are that there's $2 trillion worth of infrastructure rebuild that needs to be done within the next 10 years. Otherwise, you know, the bridges start falling down. The airports no longer work. The roads, you know them, they're potholed beyond belief. It's very difficult to move forward. And a 50-cent gasoline tax, while gasoline prices are low, will have a minimal impact upon people. People will barely notice it. They were worried about $5 gas. Well, you've got $2.50 gas. Right. Now, if we pump it with a gas tax to $3 a gallon on a national average, what you do is you raise $70 billion a year for infrastructure and renewable investment. And this is the time to do it. There'll be no other time in history. Oil prices will inevitably go back up, and at that point, it's entirely toxic. You cannot add a gasoline tax.
I agree with you in terms of economic spending, because we have not seen the savings translate into consumer discretionary spend, but why not lift export bans?
Export bans are only one way to go after a problem, and indeed, it doesn't raise that much money except for those that are creating oil. I mean, the producers will have a benefit if you end export bans. But what I'm looking for is for a general increase in state of living. And that means going to the places where we've really ignored them for the past 30 years, and that's roads, bridges, tunnels, airports. If you made a trip to Europe in the past 5 years and then come back to this country and seen the difference in the infrastructure,
oh, yeah.
you know that there's an enormous amount of spending needed. It would be good for the economy as well. And the gasoline tax is, in my mind, one of the few ways to get at it, and now's the time to try.
Well, I mean, you also create jobs, too, with all the infrastructure spend.
Absolutely.
But here's this question now. We're going into the election in 2016, and clearly the field just, I mean, what is there, 15, 16 Republicans on the ballot right now? Do you think this could really be a platform?
It could set someone apart, which may be the only reason that it comes up now. Because it's toxic politically. Right. I mean, nobody will suggest a brand new tax and expect to get elected based upon that. But if you are a candidate out there and you're looking for something to grab onto that has real public merit to it and will set you apart from the rest of an enormous field of candidates, maybe it's a time for somebody to at least start a conversation about a gas tax.
All right. Thanks very much, Dan. Right. For TheStreet in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino.